it's holiday season, so it would
Now the
make sense.
question is, where do I have it? I have the other one.
Yeah, put it on. Let's see. Oh, snap. Look at that. See? Now we're talking.
I love
Now we're
this.
talking.
I think this is awesome.
Nice.
I
Very
really think
nice.
this is cool. I like it.
Love it. Love it. I
And of
love how we
course,
were able to adjust to the holiday season real quick on this podcast. There you go.
I think my kids did something to this though, because it's like, but it's okay. I think it makes it different, right?
Yes.
All right. Yes,
Now
yes,
we're in
yes.
business.
Now we're in business. This is
That's
our
right.
last podcast. We
Of
needed
the year.
the little
Spice it up a little
declaration.
bit. Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
Spice it up a little.
Throw some seasoning on it.
It looks like
Some
something
tempeh.
is missing on your in your background as well. Like
No,
where are your decorations at?
I have you don't see the light on the corner there? That's like those are
That's
Christmas
what
lights.
that's what that is. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
You don't
I
sound
would
very
never.
impressed. Whatever.
No, I'm not. You should have done like you could like draw the tree with your lights and actually do the tree, like design it on the
Mm,
wall. That
yeah.
would be nice. I learned that from my sister Selma. There was one year I could not get the
Hmm.
tree up. I was like, I'm going the
Do
wall.
that
So
real
you
quick.
just yes,
I
you
like
just put
that.
the lights. You put the lights, you design it, you have a tree on the wall is
Well,
minimum.
that's gonna be my deliverable for the last podcast of next year. Just have that in the background right there.
I'm going to hold you accountable for this one.
Yeah, I knew I shouldn't have
Yes.
said that. Now I'm in trouble. All right.
Now I see, because this was one of the last words that we just put on social media was how do you say decorations in Creole? So apparently you're not doing any of it.
Well,
Que tem
I
do
did a little
coração.
bit. I did a little bit, but just, there's always room for improvement. That's the point here. It's like the point is not to be the best, is to get better over time. That's the point.
Sure. Yes, that's good going. This is
Yes.
our last one for the year. I can't believe it's already end of 2025. Time flew. This is pretty fast. I really felt
And
like, especially the last few weeks of December, even at work, sometimes I'm like, oh, the day is not. It has not been like that. Like I'm looking at the clock and I'm like, oh my God, it's already end of the day. You have to leave. Obviously, it's always a good thing to come home, but you always feel like, oh my God, I still have a lot of work to do. But
yeah.
December, I think, came in pretty fast, and it's ready to wrap it up, and so are we. So are we to wrap it up. We're gonna do our
Mm-hmm.
little annual Kriolish retro. And this time it's
Yep.
different because we just do stuff online, right? We show people our
Mm-hmm.
numbers and how
Mm-hmm.
the year went and all of that. So it's nice that this year we actually have a podcast to talk about
Well,
how
we're
the
still gonna
year.
do that. We're still gonna
Yeah.
type up our usual blog posts and stuff like that. But yeah, this time we're gonna talk about it live. Well, live. Pre-recorded.
We are live.
Pre-recorded live. Nice.
But yeah, so I think what makes it hard sometimes at the end of any year is you thinking like you're rewinding to day one or January for the beginning of the year to actually think about, okay, how did everything roll out in 12 months? And a lot of
Mm,
things happened, obviously, this year for us. A lot of changes. So it's not an easy question for you to actually sit and think like what was the not necessarily the big things, but what really happened in 2025. So I wanted to start off with that. Like, what is it that, like, thinking from, when we start 2025, what's the first thing that comes to mind, like when we first kicked the year in 2025, now that we're at the end of it?
yeah. I mean, when I think about it, when we started in 2025, I think that we were still on that phase of like seeking validation for what we're doing, like validation as in do people care about what we're doing? Are we actually making a difference out there? And fast forward to end of 2025, uh, I'm pleased to say that yes, the answer to that question is absolutely, because we've received quite a bit of validation for what we're doing. One of the things that we do is we help people with translations. You go to our site and you get help with translations. People request translations. Um, we received hundreds of translations this year. I mean, it was crazy. I still have 100 more to go over, just sitting in the backlog, waiting for me to process. Uh, so it's like, and this is it's interesting because this is the process or the track or the journey that startups usually go through. First, it's like, I don't know if people care about this. Let me just see. You just put it out there and see what people make of it. But then things start moving to the point that it starts showing how inefficient your process is because it's not sustainable. You're not able to keep up. That alone is an amazing problem to have because it tells us that there is some level of demand, that there's traction, that people care about what we're
Care.
doing. Yeah.
Yes.
And, I mean, like I said, we've received hundreds of translation requests throughout the year, still got a lot to go through. And it's not just the usual, go on the website and request a translation. It's also people sending us scripts and documents and blog posts and in
And
brochures
music.
and music for us to translate. Um, and I received those requests, and I'm like, I'm happy, but at the same time, like, oh snap, we're in some kind of trouble because now people are looking for translation of medical terms. You know what I mean? Which is a big deal. We have to be very
Yes.
careful with that stuff.
Very careful.
So
Yes.
this is telling me that we need to sort of like kick things up
Ex
a notch.
I'm about to say accelerate a little bit. It's the
Yeah,
the
yeah,
level of
and
responsibility is changing in that sense. Like
exactly.
expectations of what folks think we're capable of doing.
Correct,
Yes.
correct. And we also at this point we're well over 1,000 registered user accounts on the site. Think about that. It's more than 1,000 real human beings who have created a user account on our platform. Um, uh, Tens of thousands of search queries across our dictionaries. Putting all of this together, it's like, and I mean, another thing that I want to throw in there is, look, we've reached these numbers without with little to no paid advertisement. Meaning all of this,
Yes.
most
That's the
of this,
good part.
99% of this is just organic. It is just like word of mouth or referrals, or maybe we make a post and then it just all of a sudden you see people sharing it across other different channels. Uh, so not only that, we don't even have an app yet. We just have a website. We don't have an app. So at the end of to
It
answer your,
speaks volumes. Yeah.
yeah, to answer your question, like at the end of 2025, it's like, uh, okay, right? We haven't done any advertisement. We don't have an app. What's gonna happen when we do? It's like,
What's
what's gonna happen when we do, and do we have the process and the system? I definitely think we have the team, obviously, to sustain it, but it's like we're gonna have to. We have a lot of work cut up for us in 2026.
And I think there's more. I mean, obviously, you can only foresee so much, right? We can anticipate what might be coming. And for me, the word that can describe this is a lot of, there are a lot curious. People are curious about what we're doing, and they come into us and they're asking questions, but they very like they really want to learn. Like you can easily see that that's something that, because of all these requests that we get and people continue to, give us feedback or ask us questions, there's a lot of curiosity there, but also all that need to, or that feeling of wanting to learn. And one thing
Mm-hmm.
that we have to look closer into is the demographics. It feels like, we have an older, not necessarily much older generation comparing to our age, but we have folks who are looking at us and they're adults, but we haven't even looked at the much younger generation. So far, we've gotten like a very particular feedback that they want to see shorts when it comes down to learning, learning the language. And so that's very interesting that a much younger generation is already obviously telling us how they function, how they learn different, they consume different. So we have a lot of questions still to answer. And I think, with the new year coming up, those are the things that we really have to look into, understanding our demographics more, but also who else is out there that's open to learn, right? The younger they are, the more they say you're like a sponge. You have the tendency of learning faster and more. But we know it's out there. Like we know there's an interest, especially when we're looking at different generations. There's always a group that's migrating to the US or has already migrated and now they have kids and now they want to make sure the kids does not lose the language. So it's like that cycle is going to be for a very long time or as long as we
Yeah.
know as part of the Cabo Verdean context in history, right? It's going to always be part of who we are. So it feels like this is going to come back again, like 10 years from now, 15 years from now, someone is going to be like, I want my kid to learn the language. Like I
Yeah.
lost it when we came. So I feel like it's not going to stop anytime soon because the migration cycle is not stopping yet with Kavir. So as long as there's migration, ongoing migration within the Cabo Verdean context, the need to keep the language alive in the diaspora, especially, is always going to be there. So, and we can see that with people always telling us why they're trying to learn or why, the reasons why they're tapping into our resources. So I think things moved pretty fast this year, but we have to be ready because I think it's going to accelerate.
Accelerate. Yeah. It
I
is.
really do think it's going to accelerate. And one of the things, like in terms of what, even we're always looking for validation. Like, do people want our product? But it's always nice for folks to actually also validate what we're doing in the sense of you're doing a good job, right? Or folks come to you and say, "Hey, I really like your product." Earlier this year, we had a lot of media coverage, right, from TV stations to newsletters to newspapers rather, to radio interviews where afterwards, here in Cavet, in Praia in particular, for me, folks was like, "Oh, I saw you in the news. Like I read the news, newspaper article," and folks just validating that we're doing a good job. For me, that was very important. Like to actually see that folks, first of all, watch the news. They listen to what we have to say, and then
Yeah.
they actually came and wanted to have a conversation. And for me, was the whole different age, like generation. I'm always big on paying attention to which generation is telling us what, because we have a
Hmm.
whole history around the whole language. We've talked about this before of it's not official, different generation has that they all have different feelings about the language in terms of it not being official yet or being taught in classes here in Cavite and whatnot. But just seeing different people from different generations saying the same thing, for me, that was like awesome. Like it's good to hear that. It's great to hear that here in Cavite in particular, which is not always the case when you're talking about the language and what we're doing with it. So was there like any particular moment with you that you're like, I love, this is nice to see or hear people say
Oh
this
yeah.
year.
When we made our first appearance ever in any type of like expo type of event, which was the Rhode Island Cape Verdean Festival.
Oh, yes,
And
yes.
that when we put up our little booth and uh and it was just incredible to see how many people recognized the mark, right? The brand. Like they saw the word Kriolish from like far, and then they just walked up to us and said,
Nice.
"Oh my God." They're just telling us, "I can't believe you guys are here." Even the organizers of the event actually
Hmm.
approached us and said, "What took you guys so long to
To show up,
come to yeah, to show up, to
to
come
show
be part of
face.
this?" Yeah, and and I'm talking about like bright smiles, like super happy to see us there. And a lot of people approaching us and telling us about, how much they appreciate what we're doing, how much they, like they use the product every day. Um, and telling us why it matters to them. It still amazes me how many the number of people who, want to learn the language just so they could speak to their grandma back on the islands. Like that is
Yes,
a very
that's
common
sweet.
use case. Yeah, and it's very, very common, dude. Like people, a lot of people, that's what they want. Just like I just want to be able to talk to my family back home. So that was a big moment for me. Is because just like you said, we do a lot of this stuff online, but it's not until you show up in person, it's not until you have that,
They're like,
in-person
you're real.
experience, yeah, that you see how significant or the meaning of what you're doing, the meaning that what you're doing has to other people. And yes, going back to what you just said, there was one instance where I went to an event and I met this person who has been sending, a number of like translation requests. And when you make translation requests, I process them and then I send you a personal email thanking you for contributing to our dictionaries. And then I ran into this person at that event. He looked at me, was like, "You're real?" I'm like, "What is this?"
So
He
yes,
was like, "Yeah." He was like, "Can I get a picture, dude? I can't believe this. This is amazing." And I'm just standing there. I'm like, dude, all I did was
do
like
do.
process your translation request. Like, why is this? Why am I being treated like I'm some sort of celebrity or something? But it was a very cool moment to see. And in that same event, someone approached me and was like, "Can I get an autograph?" I'm like, "Guys, this is insane. Like, I'm just a computer geek here building this application. you know, I'm,
Yes,
I'm
computer
not
geek.
I'm not all that you think that whatever it is that you think that I am. But again, very sweet moments that again proved that what we're doing is very valuable, in that it means a lot to people, and in that people carry what we do. They're carrying Kriolish on their phones every day with them and using it on a daily basis. I mean, like I told you, at some point we were reaching, we had I looked at the numbers and we had like 1,500 active users monthly. Like every month we have
Yeah.
1,500 people visiting and using our platform, which is just mind blowing. And again, little to no
What
advertisement. We don't even
and
have an
no
app
app.
yet.
Yes, I was
Imagine,
gonna say
imagine
going
that.
back to I was gonna say the same thing, going back to the thing of it's not even an app yet, where it's the world that everybody's used to, right? Everything is an app,
Hmm.
and to see that kind of interaction, I think that's it's a real indication of for real, like of what's to come. And the reaction of people seeing you in person, I think, we are so much in a digital world. Everything is,
Mm.
a lot of it is remote, a lot of it is, it's digital, and you don't get a chance to see folks. So when you meet people in person, I think in general, first, if you've been following them around for a while, for whatever reason, online, then you see them, you're like, oh, this person is real. And this makes me think about a meeting I had, a few weeks ago, for someone that we're trying to build a partnership coming into, for 2026. We've been here in Praia. I've known him for 8 years, and the dude we met for the first time, and it was nice seeing him in person. I was like, oh my God, I can't believe we've never met in person in the same city. But it's like, are we since we had built that relationship already, it was nice to just be in person and just have a coffee and talk things through, and specifically talk about for a partnership for Kriolish, because I had met him for other reasons. Um, but it's nice to make that personal connection, and I think that's also I think it's a good reason for us to think about the importance of in-person interaction, like
Mm.
in-person activities that you need to do independently of us being we're an online tool right now, but
Yeah.
we're going to need that personal connection. We're going to need that personal in-person interaction, so they can see that yes, we are real, especially in the
Yeah.
world of AI that's coming
Right.
in hard. So we are real. So I think it's another reminder that in-person events are solid, or I should say
Yeah. No,
are important.
we're gonna have to show up. We're gonna have to keep showing up because,
Yes,
anyways, remember what we're building is supposed to bring people together. Anyways,
together.
You know what I mean? It's
Yes.
supposed to bridge whatever gaps from a linguistic standpoint that exists between uh, a Cape Verdean descendant and a family relative back home, or a tourist who wants to experience the the locals' way of life, or a medical expert who or an emergency service provider who wants to provide services to someone out here who doesn't necessarily speak English fluently, or law enforcement who's trying to do their job in um, so on and so forth, right? So it would be it's only right that okay, we're building this, it's a digital tool, but we're not off the hook to like we need to show up in
We need,
person
yes,
and talk to these people and listen to them in a more personable
personal work. Yes.
context. Yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely important. And I would say one of the things that probably contributed to it's the being online, like we tried out the Q&A sessions on Instagram, and we only did it with social media with Instagram, which they were important because we launched these freebies, Alphabet, and people still had questions. But I think
Hmm.
that one was, it was a good move on our part to actually have the Q&A sessions, and then so that it can build more on people saying, hey, we're for real, like we're real
Yeah.
people.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
that's still going to be an important statement to make.
Yeah. No, and
Like there
I
are real
agree.
people behind this project, behind this
Yeah, and
website.
people want to see who's behind this stuff. I mean, you
Yes.
you mentioned the live Q&A. That too, it was a very key moment for me, um, because you had people dialing in from all over the world, actually. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And we've said this over and over again, right? Right now, we're focused on the diaspora, specifically, in the New England area. But seeing people dialing in from all over the world validates our assumption of like, hey, we're focused on the New England in the New England area, but we think that there are opportunities in other parts of the world, and there you have it. People from other parts of the world are dialing in, asking questions, um, and they're asking really good questions. Like someone,
Really
for
good.
example, asked, "Hey, do you guys have a linguist on the team?" Which the answer is yes. That's Brandon, right? And I found that question so important to answer because people want to know who's behind this stuff, because at the end of the day, they want to make sure they want to see intention behind it. You know what I mean? They want to
Yes.
understand how intentional we are about this stuff. And look at that. We have a real linguist on the team, folks. Like think about that, right?
Yeah.
Um, but
And
another.
I think people do want
Mhm.
to know as well. Okay, because just because we're native speakers, and I think we've alluded to this before in other episodes, just because we're native speakers does not mean we can teach. Does not mean, like we can tell you, like we can guide you. We know the fact that we're native speakers is super important because we live and breathe Creole. That's who we are, right? But when it comes down to teaching people, that's a whole different ball game,
A whole
right? It's
different
like
ballgame.
that's why even in the in the US when you go to school, you have trained teachers are all trained because we're
Yeah.
not everybody can just teach you whatever. You need to be trained for you to know how to pass on the tools and resources and teach someone how to learn per se, and it's no different with Cabo Verde and Creole. You know what I mean? For us it's very important that we had someone as part of the team to have that expertise, because yes, we know the language. We've talked about all these ways that we've experienced our language growing up, but teaching is a whole different ball game. Like you have to know what you're doing. So that was an important it was an important question for that the person made, but it's also nice for us to say yes we do. So it's
Yep.
not like
Check that
we were
box.
like, I'm sorry, we don't have one. But
Yeah.
it would have triggered us to think about, hey, we need one on the team if this is a concern for somebody asking that question.
Of course, but I
Yeah.
mean, even for us, it's like you made the point. Just because we're native speakers does not mean that we can teach the language. But also, just because we're native speakers doesn't mean that we actually know the technical details behind the workings and the mechanics of the language, and which has been a huge learning experience for all of us, right? Working with the with Alupec, right, the official Cabo Verdean alphabet, um, in which, the point to be made here is more of us need to do this, right? More of
Yes,
us need to dive deeper into the language, just like we do when we learn English or when we learn Portuguese, when we learn Spanish. And this is why I think that it's also very, very important for the language to start being taught in schools back on the islands. And I'm interested in us as a team contributing to that, right? Fostering an environment where, you know, people are going to get the support that they need to teach the language in a world that is all digital, right? And that's what we're doing. We're building a digital infrastructure for the language because we predict that very, very soon, hopefully the language will become official. And with that, we'll have a number of
yes,
requirements that come with that to
yes,
have it fully integrated in every aspect of society.
yes. That's very true. Yes. Um, any other thing that you think stood out for the year that was a big part of, that was an important experience for you?
Oh yeah. The Boost CV Accelerator program with the Jassy Africa folks. So um I guess for those who are not familiar, there are these programs that are called accelerator programs that that build cohorts of startups to help them mature, and they take them through stages. So for Boost TV, which happened a few months ago, um, it was like 12 weeks, like a 10 to 12 week intensive program. Um, that was very, um, you know, very insightful for us because it gave
Yeah.
us an idea of where we were as a startup and what we need to do in order to get to the next phase. And with that, we connected with mentors. Um, we did our pitch presentation, and the the moment that stood out to me is how well the pitch was received. Like we got really strong positive reactions, and during that pitch, even after that pitch, someone even approached me uh, with interest, even on an investment level. And this person is like an entrepreneur who's a mom who lives in Portugal and is struggling with the typical idea of parents trying to pass down the language to their kids. But
Mm-hmm.
especially being an entrepreneur, she's not gonna have time to sit
Time.
down and take them through that. So she was like, "This is stuff that me and many others out here are looking for, and I'm interested in working with you guys to see this grow because there's definitely a future and a viable business here." Again, going back to the point of validation, right? We've received validation from our users, and we've received validation from business leaders. So it's all coming together.
Those are
It's all coming
important.
together.
Yes. All
Yeah.
come and get. This community is everything. All of this stuff coming together. And in these types of programs, they kind of force you to think more and think like, okay, what is it that we need to do now? Like the things that the boxes that you need to be checking now, because you can easily, we get into it, we got to do this, we were testing out a lot of things to see what work, what doesn't, but then there's a whole other side to a startup that's very organizational wise, like this needs to happen before that happens, before you get an
Mm-hmm.
investor. It's a learning process, like for me, as well. Not necessarily being in the program, but obviously we had meetings whenever we were talking to the mentor, So I think it's, these programs are important, and we're going to look for more. We need more of
Oh yeah,
these to
absolutely.
maximize what we're doing, because it's always nice to have folks, put you in a position like make your decision quick. Like, you got to stop for a second. You need to think about this, or you need to do that, which is it's an important in order for this to
Yeah,
grow and be sustainable. We need to have a lot of times hard conversations, or like somebody to just check us and be like, you
yeah,
have to do this regardless.
yeah. It's all about accountability. I mean, me personally, I think that we all need somebody to answer to, like in life in general. Otherwise, we're just gonna become a bunch of sociopathic maniacs.
Oh,
Not to make
Jesus
this too
Christ.
dark. I know, sorry.
Please don't.
but 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 it's like I think in general we all need to be told, what is acceptable, what isn't. We all need somebody to answer to, because it's all about accountability, right? We said that we've pretty much made a promise that we are going to solve this problem, that we're going to help people achieve their goals and their aspirations by making the language more accessible, and we need to be held accountable for it. And this is what you learn when you connect with users, with prospects, prospective customers, with business leaders who are interested in investing. It's a lot. It can get overwhelming, especially for a team that's as small as us, and a team that, by the way, we all have our full-time jobs. Imagine that.
Yes,
We have our full-time jobs. Some of us have kids like you, right? And the other Swelly. Um,
absolutely. Yeah.
Yep. And so it's like we're juggling a lot, but at the same time, I think we're up for it, right? We're up for the challenge. We have accepted the challenge, and that's to the point of accountability. It starts with ourselves, right? It starts with holding ourselves to account with respect to not only ourselves but also our team,
Out. Yeah.
because that's the attitude that will then sort of like expand outward, right? Because if we can't hold ourselves to account, um, then I don't know uh, how we're gonna be able to deliver this, right? And this is the theme that we're going with into 2026. Is there's gonna be structural changes, and we're gonna become very, very intentional about delivering results.
Yeah, and one of the things, the challenges that we have is because we are a remote team, in a sense of we are in completely different time zones. That's wild. It's bunkers for
Yeah,
you to even do that, to function like that,
yeah.
trying to get, and then when time changes and stuff like that, and it's a true challenge for us as a remote team, but not impossible. It's just a challenge that we have to, figure it out. And we are figuring out how to do it. Like you said, there's going to be structural changes, and I think that's going to be very beneficial to us, is because once you identify your challenges, you have to figure out, okay, internally, it's an internal challenge. We need to resolve it so that we can keep doing the work that we're doing. And also in terms of, from the concept of, we made a promise, or we say we're going to solve a problem, we also had to make a whole lot of assumptions as part of, resolving this problem. And we know, like, offering courses is part of what we're doing. And I know you made a big assumption this year in this process of offering, of when this was about to happen.
Yeah.
But collectively as a team, but also you as the CEO, making that, you have to make that much bigger decision of, okay, we're going to deliver courses.
Mm-hmm.
So I want you to talk a little bit about this big
Yeah.
assumption of how that was about to play out, or supposed to play out.
Well, we are going to deliver
Yes, we
courses.
are. Yes, yes.
Uh, well, I mean, I guess it's like, eh, you know, you always come in and you look at what it's going to take to build something, and then you're like, oh yeah, we should be able to uh, deliver this in like a couple months' time, or something like that. And then you start getting humbled by the intricacies, right, behind the process of building what we're building. And, I just made this assumption that we were just going to be able to produce this thing, for, produce it, and then and then there's a post-production phase where you edit and then boom, we're done. We just put it
We're
out there,
done.
put it on a platform, we're good to go. But yeah, like I said, I got humbled by the complexity of content production, especially when you're doing it at the
At
scale
this
or
level,
yeah,
yes.
at the level, the quality of production that we're going for. Technical difficulties, they always come up. Um, when you're like producing things, life happens, like someone gets sick, for example, and now you have to delay production by like a week or two because other things come in between, so it's like a balancing act. It's very it was not as simple and as quick as I thought it was going to end up being. And then, with that, we had dates on the calendar, right? And everything was being done with respect to those dates because we thought that this is when the courses are going to drop. But then, as soon as these complexities, these challenges and issues started arising, and things started getting delayed and delayed, there were parts of our roadmap, a whole quarter of our roadmap just disappears.
Shifted.
Yeah, we
It
need
don't
to,
disappear. You just gotta shift. We had to
right.
shift it.
Well, not only did we have to shift it, we also needed to figure out, okay, while this is happening, what can we do, during this big chunk of our timeline and our roadmap to keep things moving and to keep making progress and to keep, moving in the direction of meeting our goals for the year. Um, and I think that in general we adjusted really well, because we were able to find ways to fill in the gaps. But yeah, that was my big assumption is how I just thought that things were just gonna go. Uh, I never thought that you know we had so many moving parts, so many things, so many points of failure during this process of producing the courses. But good news is they are produced. We are very, very close to being done. So hopefully in January, the first 2 weeks of January, we'll finally drop these things and just move on to other things.
Great gift. Great gift for the new
Yeah.
year.
Hey.
Everybody's always trying to like, what are you gonna do for the new year? Your New Year's
Yep.
resolution should be, I'm gonna learn Cabo Verde Creole and I'm gonna buy some
Yep.
courses.
Mm-hmm.
That would
There you go.
be that's the ideal
Yep.
the
Yep.
ideal thinking behind it. But I think we have to like I think any organization or business, you always have to also be kind to yourself because one, like you said, we have our own 9 to 5 jobs. It's all remote. So and then we had an extension of a team to be part in order to produce. It's not, the core of Kriolish that's producing it, right? So we had to
Mm-hmm.
partner, collaborate with other people. So that's an extension of more people that a whole bunch of other calendars now that needs to be
Yep.
managed.
More
It,
dependencies. Exactly.
so it is, and I think like in anybody, when you're doing a business or an organization and something does not go as you plan initially, like be kind to yourself. Like if you have to pause and rethink, like
Mm-hmm.
how do we readjust so that you're not, freaking out too much to be like, oh my God, now, it's not down the drain. Now you're just rethinking. And like you said, like what else we had to fill in the gaps because it wasn't, it was not going to be ready as we expected. And that's, one, it's a learning process, but then it forces you to get more creative, to think about, okay, what
Mm-hmm.
else we have to do, because it can't just be about courses as well. Like there are other tools, and that gave us the opportunity to, um, um, to tap into other things, other resources to engage with those who are already following us or are subscribers on newsletter and things like that. So it had to force us to, let's say, think more
Mm-hmm.
in terms of how are we going to fill in this gap. And I
Yeah.
think for me, one of those pieces, that ideas that you came up with, was the translation Thursdays.
Oh yeah.
It's like it showed up in the middle, it's like there was one of those things
Came
that
out of
came
nowhere.
up that
Yeah.
yes, because I think if it hadn't been because we were still working on the courses, we didn't have you wouldn't have time because we would have been so focused on getting the courses out, release it, that the concept of translation Thursday probably would not have had the
Right.
time to
Right.
develop and flourish. the way
Hmm.
that it did, the way that it did, and what it is now, right?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, those, just like you said, it was just an idea that popped out of nowhere. And the engagement that we have received, it has been it's been amazing. Like people, so for those who don't know, if you are subscribed to our email list, every Thursday we have this thing that we call Translation Thursdays, and we send you a list of new words for you to learn. And this list is either a list of words that are, say, specific to an occasion that just recently happened, or that is happening on that week, or they're a list of brand new translations that people have requested and contributed to the site. So with this newsletter, it's just been amazing to see people engage in it and look forward to these emails every week. Uh, and it's also been amazing to see them replying and giving us more and more ideas. That just
Yes,
helps us.
that's what I like.
Yeah,
Yes, I like that part.
that has helped us make that particular sort of like activity better and more meaningful to them. So it's like it's like a we started something. This is what I love about what we're doing, right? Is we start something and then the community sort of takes over, right? And
And
that
that's
is
what we
like,
want.
yeah, that is at the heart of what we do at Kriolish, because like many people still don't know this, but our dictionaries are crowdsourced. We're not we're we receive translation requests, we have expressions being contributed, and with that you have the community participating in this cycle of value creation that then goes in and adds value to other people's daily lives. But yeah, just to bring it all home, the translation Thursday is not like one of my favorite things to do every week. Is to just, come up with this list of words that is going to allow you to, to make sense of your week or your day in Criollo, right? Uh, and then, and then just ask for feedback and ask for more ideas.
Yeah, and it's surprising to see that's it was a great way when people give us feedback, right? They respond once they receive the newsletter. It allows us to see how people learn. Like there were some folks saying, "Can you do this because this is too much work, like just for me to
Yeah,
get there? Can you do, this other part because I'm building on my vocabulary?" For me, those were like clear indicators of how people learn different. And that's
yeah.
important for us to understand how are folks still learning nowadays.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll go back to the demographics part, age, generation, all of this stuff matters because there's people saying, I'm too old to learn a language. Others are like, I'm taking on this challenge. Like, I'm old, I'm in my 40s and my 50s. I'm going to learn something brand new. And
40s and 50s is old? I don't
some
think
people,
so.
yes, once we start to get there, you start feeling like it because I have kids who will remind me that I'm getting old.
Got it.
Go talk to teenagers and younger people, and they look at you. They're like, "Oh my God!" But if you stop and think about it, when I was younger, and I would look at somebody who's 40 and they're 50, I'm like, "Wow, they're old." I know I did, but now
Oh
I'm here,
man.
and I'm like,
Oof.
but folks think like at this age, in their like 40s or 50s, that their brain is not suitable to
Mm,
learn a brand new language that has
mm-hmm.
nothing that they have no that they didn't learn at all, right? So
Mm-hmm.
there's been a few conversations with folks about that, like, okay, this is really brand new to me. I never knew the language. It's my, it's comes from I have a heritage, right? I'm Cabo Verdean of I have Cabo Verdean heritage, but I've never learned the language, so this is all brand new, to them. And then if they know other languages, all of that will not interfere, but all of that is going to come into play. Like, how do I separate all these languages that I know, and where does Cabo Verdean Creole fit in my, in my learning? But it was nice to see people give us, ideas because their brain is already telling them, okay, I want to learn this language, but I need different mechanisms. Like I need you guys to do something different to allow me to continue the encouragement for them to continue
Mm-hmm.
to learn. So that's what I love about the Thursday translations is the feedback that we're getting from people, and they're very clear about what is it that they need from us
Yep.
from that alone. It's vocabulary building, right? They're building
Mm-hmm.
their vocabulary, but it's still a learning process. So how is something as simple as learning new words impact
Yep.
your learning process? So it was nice to hear those feedback. So keep them coming. Like
Yeah. So
whoever's
I mean,
part of
someone,
that, we
eh,
appreciate them.
and just so you see how important your feedback is, like someone replied to the translation Thursday's newsletter and said, "Hey, it would be really cool if you guys had this particular feature. It would make my life so much easier." And lo and behold, that feature is now part of our roadmap, and we're gonna deliver it next year, in the coming months. We're not gonna reveal it here because we want it to be a surprise. You know, that's how we move. But yeah, that's the reason why I said that is because no, folks, like this is real. This really is an open platform and a conversation that you are very much a part of. So just, engage, let us
Yes.
know what you need, and we will find ways to make it happen.
Yes, we will. And still, the recurring, no matter what, is it newsletters or messages or WhatsApp community or somebody we bump into, they'll ask us still the app. The app is the one question that keeps resurfacing.
Hmm. I
It's the
mean, can't blame
constant.
them. Yeah, can't blame
I
them.
know we can't blame
Can't
them.
blame
It's
them.
like,
But
can we get an app
it
here? Can we get an app? Even
yes,
my
it's
son said, I'm gonna join Kriolish. Like not, I don't think it was this year. Maybe it was last year. He's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna be an engineer for Kriolish." And I'm like, "Why?" He's like, "So I can create the app." Because he's looking at me like, "Mama, it's not an app." That's the first thing. Like when my kids, they all into Kriolish. Like they know
yeah.
what's up. They're all into this. And then I remember when Mars was like, "Mama, it's not a." He's like, "It's a website, but where's the app?" And then he's like, "I'm gonna work for Kriolish. I'm gonna take
And build it.
over and
Hey,
build it." So
we'll take
yes.
it. We'll take it.
And
No
he's
problem.
9, and he's like, "Y'all are late on
Is
this."
ready to go. Well, like maybe that is an opinion on how, you know, old we're getting. I don't know. We're maybe not moving fast enough.
We're not moving fast enough.
Like
I
everybody
think,
just like these kids, they just get up one day and build an app and put it out there, and here we are. And we're still just talking about it, but it's
and
coming.
AI is making them feel like that too. And the other
Mm-hmm.
thing that made me think about like really the demographics and when we have to move at whatever speed is the recommendation I mentioned earlier. When somebody, because of the podcast, because it's audio, they're like, we need shorts videos on your YouTube page, and I'm like, that is such a generational thing because they're so
Yeah.
used to shorts,
Yeah.
obviously,
Yeah. They
and I'm
want it
like,
quick.
yeah,
Yeah.
they
That's the
want.
thing about this. That's what we're gonna have to adjust to. Like, unfortunately, this generation, they just want what they want and they want it quick. You know.
Yes, we'll get there for sure. And I'm like, it's one of those things that we're gonna have to figure out, like
Yeah,
getting it out there. But they're like, but where are your shorts at? Like, what's wrong with you?
yeah, because it's like you how do you learn a language with just shorts? Good luck. That's not gonna happen. I don't. It's like it takes you sitting down and putting this stuff up on a screen or pulling out a book to really sit there and develop and go through this journey of learning the language. We'll give you nuggets here and in there, and I guess that's where the shorts could come in. But it's like we need these kids to understand it.
I'm
You know what I'm
I'm
saying?
thinking here because I think we're gonna have to touch on this whether we want to or not, or meet this demand. Maybe the part of the translation Thursdays need to become a shorts
Hmm.
version of it where we just, because it's vocabulary building, like that's gonna be the quickest thing right there. So food for thought.
Oh, yes.
That
Yes.
might be
Yes,
something
yes.
because then they just building the vocabulary that might encourage them to be like, okay, now I need
Hmm.
to learn more. So
I
yeah,
like that
okay.
idea.
See,
I like
we
that
just
very
came up
much.
with an idea for 2026.
Look
Yes,
at that. It's more work,
something
but
on my
hey,
something on my plate. Something on my
yeah,
plate.
there you go. There you go. A plate that is already pretty full and overflowing. Just keep adding.
Yes, yes. Um, if you could describe Kriolish in one word or expression for 2025, what would that be?
Uh, I was looking through the expressions dictionary recently, and I ran into this expression. I was like, and it was a an expression that was added recently, and I was actually surprised that nobody had added it before. But the expression is "nusta junto," um, and I
Huh.
think that is very appropriate, especially going into 2026, because we really are gonna have to be junto here because it's gonna be it's gonna be it's gonna be an amazing ride, right? You know, peaks and valleys, ups and downs, whatever you want to call it. Um, but you know, it especially with the World Cup qualification, historic moment
Yes,
in our nation's history. Uh, and you bet that language is going to be all, it's going to
all
be all
over.
about language, all
Yes,
about
it's
languages.
gonna be
So,
all over it.
so if I can think, I mean, you're asking me like for something that describes 2025 in one expression, but I also think that it describes 2025 and also marks the transition to 2026. So, Nusta Junto is, and for those who are wondering what that means, it means we're together, right? We're together in this. So Nostra Junto, that's what describes 2025, and that's what marks the transition. There's a big transition to 2026.
Yeah, that's definitely something that you hear a lot. Like here and in the diaspora, folks use that expression a whole lot. I would say for 2025, we probably had moments of com coragem fechado. That would be, which is an expression that I still don't know how to. I still feel like it's not properly translated into English,
Oh
or it's
no,
a hard.
it's impossible to
It's
translate it.
you have to learn the language so you can know what it means.
Yes, so yeah, it's one
But
of those.
and we play around with it every time somebody says, those who speak English, they're like, yeah, it means closed courage, and we all look at each other like, what is that? That doesn't mean
Well,
anything.
that's a
A
literal
literal translation,
translation, but the
which means
meaning,
absolutely nothing of it. But yeah, the meaning
yeah,
is like it's usually when you something happens and and you need to face a challenge, then it's like you have to really put on like some courage. Like you got to build the courage and face your challenge or situation, whatever it is. So, and it's like with Kriolish is just to keep you have to do this com coragem fechado. And this made me think about a time when I did an interview. I think it was with TCV here in Cavite, the national station, and they put the video on Facebook and YouTube, and folks were
mm,
commenting on it. And somebody actually said that I should be thrown in jail for trying to promote Creole like this. Remember that?
yeah,
Yeah.
yes,
So
those doors,
that
yeah,
that kind of those
uh,
moments is when you say com coragem fechado, keep doing what you're doing, Sueli,
right,
because this is just someone
for
you
sure.
know just being who being a mad person basically. But it's like you have people out there who thinks like that. But
Yeah, it's a
it's
big
one of those
topic.
moments. Yeah, it's one of those moments that I was like, just you just have to deal with this and like feature coragem and just get keep doing what you're doing because you can't listen to people like that. But yeah,
Yeah,
that
yeah,
was a moment I would say. Yeah.
yeah, no, and I have to commend you for keeping your composure and just you know to just have that you know the sealed courage. That's I think that's a good way to put it. Sealed
Mm,
courage, right? You
mm,
have this thing called courage, and it's sealed. Nobody's gonna take it away from you.
yeah,
Um, but yeah,
because
I scrolling through those comments, I was like, I don't, it's something that I still don't understand you know, how much hate, we
it was
receive.
hatred.
Yeah,
Those were like hateful comments.
how much hate we receive for doing something that has such great meaning to us as native speakers and to descendants and people around the world. But it's a whole topic that we're gonna have to explore in like one podcast episode. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, not to make things too negative there, but you know, but we
It,
can
that that was
let's flip the
that was my
energy here.
moment. Yes, that was
Yeah,
my moment. But
yeah.
yes, it's to trying to get
But
the
it's
message
I
of what
mean,
Courage Child means.
but I guess but I guess it shows, that the challenges that we're facing are not just technical, they're not just logistical, they're also cultural. you know.
Cultural, yes.
Uh,
Very much
so
cultural.
so
But which
again,
I think we can easily overcome. Like, because to me, it's like the whole, it was a very generational, you could
yeah,
tell who, the type of generation that the person, which generation it's coming from.
yeah,
And that's, like you said, that's a whole other topic.
yeah.
I think
But
we're
I
gonna
like
need a real conversation around this.
but I really like the Coraggio Ficciato because again, and it's funny that you mentioned that because I didn't know you were going to mention that, but it goes hand in hand with Nusto Junto. Look at that. Just
It does.
coincidentally, I picked that expression and you came with one that goes hand in hand with that. And yes, we're gonna be Junto and we're gonna be, you know, we're gonna have this thing called Coraggio Ficciato. That's gonna
All the
I think
way
that's
through.
also yeah, I think that's also gonna be the theme throughout the year for many, many great reasons. Uh
Yes.
yeah.
It's a motivational thing. It's really something to push you. Like it's something that helps you push through hard times. That's what it's
Mm-hmm.
for. Like when you talk to somebody about something, they're like "coragem fechado," it's like they're basically supporting you 100% and encouraging you to keep doing what you're doing. Or even
Mm-hmm.
if you say it to yourself, that's what it's for. It's something for self encouragement, or you're encouraging someone else to like push through. So that's definitely 2025/2026.
Yep.
And I just like for me to add one more thing about the for 2025 is that we have been talking a lot about doing the podcast. Um, and I was like, I have a lot of homework to do. We need to decide, podcasts. It's obviously, like I said, everybody has one now. It's like having an email. So, just deciding on doing the podcast. And like setting up the podcast for me is like setting a podcast with low expectation because it's a saturated market right now.
Mm-hmm.
Podcast, right? It's everywhere. Like I listen to a bunch of podcasts. My sister's like, Swelly, how do you keep up? I was like, it's all good stuff out there. And of course, I just do all sorts of, different topics, right? So I'm not like one specific thing. And like I listen to a bunch of things, and sometimes it's just one or two episodes from a show, depending how good they are. But for me, like us setting a podcast for Kriolish, one thing that we always said is like the whole thing of people knowing that we're real, that there's people behind us, and that was one of the ways that we were thinking like this got to be one of the best ways that we can actually let people know who we are,
Mm-hmm.
and that's why we started internally. Very important for us to start internally so everybody can meet the team. But at the same time, I had low expectations in the sense of let's see how this plays out because all we're doing is talking about language and building resources and a website and whatever to learn a language like Cabo Verdean Creole that it's the oldest in the world and yet not that many people speak it in the sense of
Mm-hmm.
from a global context, right? From if you
Yeah.
compare it to English or any other language that's popular. So it was the low expectation, but I was really surprised at how folks reacted to it, especially because we came through it from just audio perspective and not video, and we don't have high production like the podcasts that are out there right now are
Right.
crazy with
Right.
their
We'll
production.
get there. We'll get there.
And again, we're a remote team, right? We're
Mm-hmm.
not sitting across from each other. Everybody's in different parts of the of the world, even United States, in different parts of the country, and the expectation was low in the sense of okay, let's see how people will feed into it, and we had some really good feedback as well, like comments on our for the different episodes, and people were like, oh, it's so nice to hear how you guys started. I was like, oh, like the episode number one,
Yeah.
that's how we did that was the first for people to know, and we started mid-year in 2025, and now we have an internal thing of internal competition, which episode is gonna beat the other one.
Yeah. Right.
I need
Imagine that.
I'm gonna pull that up for us to see like, oh, so in 2025 this is the best episode. And the interesting thing is that you have the podcast and then we have YouTube, which is still audio. Right now, Brandon and Joelson's episode is still beating all of us on the
We're
YouTube,
gonna we gotta
which
beat them.
is so interesting. So you have the who's listening through Spotify, who's listening through Apple Podcasts, who's listening
Mm-hmm.
through YouTube Podcasts. So it's again, it goes back to the demographics. Like we have so much to explore
Yeah.
and the topics to explore. And for me, for 20, and this is gonna, it was a good experience and something that I got excited to do and take it, and basically, produce and thinking about how we're gonna do this. And then going into 2026, now we have to bring obviously more people because there's so much, like we were just talking about, just the cultural part, why people react the way they do. Like we need, there are folks out there who can help us have these conversations. It's not just what you and I think about. It's
Yeah.
people who have studied or people who've been around the language long enough to actually have a whole conversation as to why they think this has been happening. And we can guess in a lot of ways, but for me, that's what I'm excited for 2026 is what we're going to do more with the podcast. And obviously, we're always open to ideas and what else people want to hear from us with the podcast or guests that you want us to bring in. But that's going to be the big, again, the big things like accelerating what we're doing because now we got to bring more people. It's not just the
Hmm.
team. Now it's because we have a community around us. We need to bring that community into the podcast. So that was one thing that grew the podcast in a way that I didn't set that
Anticipating.
expectation for myself. I was waiting to see how people would react to a podcast that's all about language learning, particularly for Cabo Verdean Creole. So that's
Yeah.
my that's
No,
my
no,
take on that one.
I have to double click on that because, I know that this podcast was like your sort of like pet project, and then boom, now all of a sudden it's like, wait a minute, this is actually something that we probably should have done a long time ago because look at all this
Timing, good
engagement.
timing.
That's true. That's true. Look at all this engagement that we're getting. Tons of great feedback. A lot of people tuning in for various reasons. And like you said, for 2026, we're gonna kick it up a notch. That's how we do things. We start somewhere, establish a baseline, and then turn the knob a little bit. And yeah, for next year, I know that you already have a plan. I'm looking forward to seeing some of those guests because these are going to be very, very good conversations for people. Because for the most part, it's just been us, the team. But
Hmm.
now, uh, wait until you hear, wait until you hear what other people who are doing things that have a lot to do with what we're doing as a company at Kriolish. Wait until you hear their stories and what they have to say. I think that is going to be these are going to be very key moments on this podcast and for us as a team and for the community in general.
In general. And just as we're wrapping up here, for me, like for 2026, also going back to be a lot more in person. Like I'm really looking forward to us identifying more community events, things that we need to show up and show face, participate in conferences, doing presentations, like things like that. I think is going to be very important for people to get to know us and I think a lot of folks buy into an idea of a product when they understand where it's coming from and who's behind
Hmm.
it. I'm a true believer of that because I'm like that. Like sometimes like, oh, I want to know who did this. I
Hmm.
get like that, right? So I think I'm not the only one who's out there, but the whole thing with connecting with communities, and especially because there's so much richness between generations of Cabo Verdeans. I mean, for US alone, we're more than 200 plus years of Cabo Verdeans going to, being connected with United States.
Crazy.
That's crazy. Like 200 plus, like that is
Yeah.
crazy. So it's not a
Sheesh.
small thing. It's not, we didn't just show up. So that means
Hmm.
we have a lot of stories and what it meant in terms of change in generations and what the language was able to uphold in some places and sometimes and not being able to uphold and how all of that means culture and identity. So I think there's still a lot of that conversation that we can bring in and bring people to talk to us about that conversation and hopefully extending it to the other diasporas as well. Which is going to be a fun part about it is
Hmm.
the language. Right now we're doing a podcast in English. The diaspora, we have, Portuguese speakers, we have French speakers diaspora, we have,
Yeah.
you know, we'll see how that's going to play out. And of course, then we have Creole period. But I think just the idea that now we're going to be more present in a lot of things, like in person, a lot more visual things, and bringing basically increasing the engagement with our community. That's really what I'm looking forward to in 2026. So I think it's going to be a fun, intense year, but I think it's going to be probably one of our best. Is all
Yep.
the stuff that we're
Best
accelerating and
yet.
escalating.
Yep.
Yes, and escalate. And as a business, like there's a lot of that coming up because we're going to be chasing a whole lot of other other things to be able to answer the question like you saying, like, as viable as a business, we're going to escalate. We have to look for funding. There's a lot of that that needs to happen. So that means a lot more work that needs to happen. So I'm
Yep.
definitely looking forward to that.
Yep.
Definitely.
Yep. It's like you think about what's coming, and it's a mix. It's a mixed bag of feelings. It's like excitement, and then also, you know, a bit of anxiety. Like, man, that's a lot. How are we gonna pull it off, right? And how are we gonna
Trust in
stay?
ourselves.
Yeah, and also how are we gonna stay motivated and committed, right? But a trick that I
Encorajado.
play,
That's how.
yes, no estou junto, encorajado, exactly. But I was gonna say a trick that I play in my mind is I just think of that day, right? Of that day that we actually see these ideas come to fruition. In those days, or that day is going to be just a beautiful, beautiful day, a beautiful moment in our journey. And just again, not just for us as a team, but just the community in general. And I just can't wait uh, for us to get there.
Yeah, and we have a good team for that. Shout out to all of our team members. Um, I think we're solid enough to push some of this stuff, and we probably have to get a couple more people to join the team, but we'll see how that plays out. But
Yeah,
right now, what we have, the core is, we're solid to
yeah,
really push, and I'm really
absolutely.
excited for
And
what's
that,
coming our way.
and look, people have told me this a number of times. They always tell me, look, like, Edmar, like, you guys don't understand. Like, you've done the hardest part, which is to build a team. It is not easy.
Interesting.
It is not easy building a team. It is not easy, bringing a group of individuals together who, with this level
Can
of care.
and connect. Yes, and connect. Like
Yeah, and
we
connect
we
and
do
get
very,
along.
yeah, we do,
Right.
yeah, get along. Yes, we do very well like that.
Yep,
That's for
yep.
sure. We do.
So whenever I feel some type of way, are we doing like maybe inspiration is running a little low, I always remind myself of that actually, we have done the hardest part, which is to build a team that is determined to make this happen, despite all of these issues, all of these challenges that we have, right? Lack of funding, uh, we're a distributed team, fully remote. We're not full time yet, a full time team yet. We have side jobs. We have kids to raise, and it's like it's a lot. But
Life,
again,
lifing.
yeah, life keeps happening. But I think that in general we're very well aware that there's a price to pay for success. But we're willing to pay that price.
And I mean, and not to feel like it's a pressure of, or it's a price in a negative way, but it's like for me, what sometimes I'm like, because we all have those moments, right? Like, oh my God, like we have to keep going. It's
Hmm.
more of I have to remind myself of how many people when they tell us, yo, this is so good, or like randomly, it's like, Sally, I'm so happy for you, what you guys are doing at Kriolish, and I'm like, thanks for the reminder. Like, and I feel like
Yeah,
we really, really appreciate people out there who reminds us why what we're doing is solid, right? So it's like
yeah,
randomly somebody will tell me, "Oh my God, Sarah, you guys are doing awesome. This is so amazing." And they'll even if they'll just leave it at that, like we don't even go into details, but you can see the enthusiasm, like you can see the
yeah.
honesty, you can see that they're being so real when they tell you that. That I'm like, okay, I say we're gonna
And
have to
and
keep going.
honestly, yeah, I know. And
No está nada
honestly,
mal, no tengo
that's
nada.
exatamente. And honestly, that's what keeps pushing me forward. It's like, I could complain about everything. I could say I could have all the reasons why to like drop the ball or to just slow down or whatever. But then I'm like, all of these people that we would let down. All of these people out there who are looking forward to what we're building, who are making a daily commitment to use what we're building to achieve their goals and aspirations. And I'm like, yeah, I mean, too late now, you know?
Yes.
It's like there's no it's like there's no turning back, buddy. It's like once you walk through that door, now you just have to keep moving forward. So but and it's very energizing when you get feedback, direct feedback from people. And part of what we're doing with the podcast and the newsletters and all of these things is to keep us as close as possible to the people, right? To
To the
keep
people, yes.
to keep a very tight feedback loop, because it's important for us. It's important for that we know that what we're building matters, and that you care, and that you love it, and that it brings value to your daily lives, and just makes things just a little bit better. You know, every time I send those newsletters, the Translation Thursday newsletters, every Thursday, that's literally how I'm thinking. I'm like, I really hope that when people receive this and they go through that list of those translations, they go, that's what I was trying to say. You know what I mean? That's like, I've always wondered how you say that. And now I know. Now I can just send that text or send that email or make that call to my family relative back home, and tell them that thing, using that word that I just received from this Kriolish newsletter. So those are the things that keep me moving forward.
Moving forward, yes. So we're really looking forward to 2026. A whole lot of new things is going to be exciting, and we appreciate everybody for sticking with us this year. And the relationship is only going to get better. Things are only going to be more, how do you say, super exciting. So yeah, so don't forget to keep on visiting our platform, though. Of course, we on
Yes.
the holidays are here. I know everybody's all over the place, but yeah. So make sure you share with family and friends when you're having your dinners or family gatherings and whatnot. And 2026 is promising. So keep visiting Kriolish.com. Social media, follow us, and hopefully more people will get to sign up for the newsletter so that we get
Mm-hmm.
more feedback and be able to strengthen that part. And I'm really, really looking forward to what's to come. So thank you,
Totally.
Edmar, for joining me one more episode and the last one of the year. And
Yes.
we'll come back for more in 2026.
Yeah. Thank you very much. And
Thank you.
Feliz Natal, Boas Festas, Happy New
Yes,
Year's, Merry Christmas. You know, see y'all in 2026.
2026. Yay!
Peace.